Now, historically, I've done that with addicts and men and women home from prison, a variety of different people in the kitchen who want to come through the job training program, but simultaneously, I've also done it with the volunteers who come in, all the way up to the first families, and a variety of other people, captains of industry, Oprah, people who come in assuming they're going to see one thing. I just try and gently give them a way to see things. They're the same world, a little bit differently. And that's, again, what interested me, because, wow, do we have some potential here? Because what I discovered exists in every town. I mean, I get way too much credit. All I did was come along and frankly introduce Food Service 101 to feeding poor people. And the things I use exist here too. You know, I took the food our society threw away. And by the way, as you probably already know, we throw away somewhere around 40% of the food we produce every single day. Yeah, but why am I in California back to the community where I grew up? Half of that's its fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables, it is cosmetically imperfect, overripe, underripe, or for a variety of different reasons, gets dished under or thrown away or fed to the pigs because it's too expensive to bring to market. What an amazing resource. I took people our society undervalued. You know, I took volunteers who wanted to be part of something powerful. And it's important to understand that we've raised an entire generation of young men and women, the millennial generation, 100 million strong, doing service. This is one of the greatest experiments in the history of the world, the idea of an entire generation raised doing service. And we all know, because many of us either went through that or had our kids, and we knew that a lot of them were just had to get the hours. But think about it. If only 20% of that 100 million got the bite, got the bug, got the itch, I want to make the world a different place. I liked what I experienced. That's 20 million people looking for something to do, for an alternative, a way to make a difference. That they historically think means I'm going to go work at a charity. But they're ready for it, right? Then on the other end, I'm bouncing around a lot, but on the other end, you got my generation, the baby boomers, 73 million of us. And I'd love to say, man, every single morning, 10,000 people wake up 67. And that's going to go on for the next 20 years. And then 68, 69, 70. And I say this every time I talk, but it's a wonder you can't hear a sigh every morning as 10,000 people look in the mirror and see a 67. But you know what the sigh is? The sigh is the realization of like, how did I get so lost? How did I get so tricked into thinking if I just bought more junk, I'd be happy? You know, and it's not too late. And I see, interestingly enough, young people searching for the same thing that I oftentimes see older people looking for too. The sense of redemption, the sense of a role, a place for me. For a younger generation, this idea of like, I want the way I make my money to be a philanthropy. I want to merge my spirituality and my lifestyle, my income together. You know, I want the way I make or spend my money every day to be philanthropy. I want my life to be philanthropy. And for an older generation, some are looking for a little bit of redemption. That sense of it's not too late. And when I talk so often, and I get really excited about the power of food, but as much as we are rightly upset by the amount of food we throw away, we should be apoplectic about the people we undervalue. You know, and I was talking with my brothers over here about aging in America, and this is a profound issue. This is basically why I've returned to Southern California. For many respects, it's the perfect opportunity for me as a founder to split and let somebody else have the helm. You know, I was one of the people who systematically set out to create an infrastructure that could survive me, and it was time for me to move on. But I also am somewhat of an amateur futurist. And it's very important in our business to understand what are the trends and opportunities. And about 10 years ago, I did a speech for Meals on Wheels, and that's when I first discovered that there was a waiting list in half of American cities for Meals on Wheels. And the first baby boomer didn't turn 60 until 2006, stroke of midnight. You know, so I'm thinking, wow, there's a waiting list now. And this is a hard, cold thing to say out loud, and I don't do it with any joy, but it's important to really get your head around this, that for in half of American cities, someone's going to die for another older person to get a meal. You know, and I know that's heavy, but we're talking about women who fought for equal pay, which you still don't get, and we can have that conversation later. It's people who fought for civil rights. It's people who fought in foreign wars. It's just people who built this country. We're better than that. So you've got this amazing resource, and they want to be engaged. So you've got two very interesting customers for whom the idea of where do I buy my food is a big opportunity. And let's really get deep in here for a second. I want to suggest that America's fascination with food right now isn't about food. There's a deeper hunger. People are looking to tribe up. This is what it's about. The farmers markets, it's a place to go where people are looking to connect. They want to belong again. They're looking for fellow members. They're looking for people of their tribe. They want to belong to something again. What an amazing resource. But if we just look at those people as potential food consumers, versus people who can be part of a significant new economic wave. That's what interests me, because what I'm here to create is, in effect, a business. I'm here to basically say to the wholesale market, as well as the small farmers up in the Central Valley and up in Ventura, what you can't sell, I want to buy. Now, this was a big leap for charity, because historically charities, we waited till stuff was so rotten they gave it to us. And the revelation was when someone said, in fact, what happens if we offer farmers a couple of pennies on the pound? And what we found to the farmers in the Central Valley of Virginia, the Mennonite farmers, we were a gift from God. Suddenly, that extra few days in which stuff still had value, that they didn't want to see thrown away, but we were stuck in this old system where, again, we were just patiently waiting until it got so rotten they gave it to us. Suddenly, by saying, in effect, can we buy it from you for pennies on the pound, nickels, dimes, whatever, suddenly that opened up a huge doorway, because suddenly we were able to get not only an amazing amount of stuff that was still good and valuable, but because we had bought it, we could sell it. And that opened the door to social enterprise. In 1996, we opened Fresh Start Catering, which primarily was driven by the desire to employ men and women who had gone through our training program, but because they had felony convictions, there was just no work for them. And this is a reality, because Los Angeles and Southern California is a little bit different than Washington in that there is a significant amount of locally owned business people, small businesses that will take a chance on an errant son or daughter who's returning home. But for corporations and for businesses that have an online application, if you check that box that says, I have a felony conviction, your thing is spit out the other side. So we had to leave the era in which we could just train people for work and send them out into the workforce, and in a restaurant, a hotel, a caterer would hire them. We had to become major employers. So the ability of us to purchase food allowed us to turn around to the school system in Washington, D.C. and say, you all want locally sourced, cooked from scratch meals, we'd like to take a run at that. So by the time I had left D.C., we were doing almost 12,000 meals a day. Half were part of the D.C. Central Kitchen, which was our charitable side. Half was Fresh Start Catering, our revenue generating project that employed graduates, purchased food from local farmers, and prepared, once again, locally sourced, cooked from scratch meals.